In what he described a mutual, respectful separation, Shad Khan released a statement that Trent Baalke is no longer the Jaguars general manager. Let's get into it, man. There's a lot of layers here. This is a special edition show here, making sure that we give you the breaking news. So let's check it out.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Special edition version of the Locked On Jaguars podcast. Today, as Trent Baalke was relieved of his duties as the general manager, I am the host of the show, Tony Wiggins, here on the Locked On Jaguars podcast, where it's your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen. Thank you for listening and watching wherever you listen and watch. It's a lot going on today here, man, but we'd be remiss if we did not tell you that today's show was sponsored by our friends over at FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting right now. New customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win the first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, man, we need to get started. It's going to be two halves here. We're going to split this up, right? The reality check Shad Khan needed is what we'll talk about as we get into the second half of the show. But right now, we'll just start at the very, very top. Trent Baalke fired as Jaguars GM. I saw some stuff from some national people saying, what in the hell is going on with Jacksonville? Okay, well, welcome to the show. This is not, you mean this is the threshold where you finally ask that question? Don't get this twisted. For those who are around here, this is a day of reckoning. This is the day that they finally realized that, no, we got to scrape all of it out. Okay? So to somebody else that doesn't follow the team closely, and then the national guys, this is why we tell y'all all the time, you got to pay attention to local, man, because the national people are saying, I'm just looking at them like, this is what makes you wonder what's going on here? And that's the disconnect that people who don't follow this team closely enough have. So welcome to the party. I'm glad you're here. But on a day when you are flabbergasted about what is happening in Jacksonville, people in Jacksonville are like, hallelujah. And first of all, I'm going to say this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. This is not a celebration that Trent Baalke lost his job. This is a celebration that our owner finally understands that though you might like Trent Baalke, what he has been doing is not, I repeat, is not anything you need to be paying attention to going forward. All right. Nobody's here to say, okay, somebody needs to come in here and figure out how to work with you and Trent and figure out what y'all doing wrong. The Jaguars are at a point where you go, thank you for your service, but we need to move in a totally different direction. And the direction we have to move in has to be with new people who are going to be in lockstep and work together. We ain't got time to have this baggage. And see, I always said, when you in one relationship and you move on to somebody else, don't be talking about what you used to do. Don't be hurt about what used to. That's gone. If you're gonna take a swing at something new, man, you got to be vulnerable and willing to realize that you might make a mistake again. But the more you talk about what used to be, that's baggage, whether it's good or bad. And that is why a clean break had to happen. So this is not a celebration of Trent. This is more or less a celebration that the owner now realizes. And he had to probably learn some hard lessons, because there's going to be some speculation that I'm going to give you here in just a second. These are some hard lessons, and we had to watch it on full display. And there are things that everybody knew that about a month ago, it was like, who's going to tell him? Who's going to tell him? And then when people asked him in the interview with Trent, they were basically trying to tell him, and he scoffed at it. Almost, in my opinion, like, what are you talking about? We're going to fire 85 people. Y'all remember all that stuff. I ain't trying to bring it all back up and come down on the dude, but that's basically what happened. And then today he saw the light. Whether he saw it because of what you all said, whether he saw it because it was obvious to everyone else, whether he saw it because he hit rock bottom, and that rock bottom was people telling him, no, I ain't gonna do it. Not like that, right? And if that's not the case, you know, he didn't say that in the statement. The statement kind of said that they had been talking all throughout the week, and then I don't know. See, this is the weird part. I'm gonna read it, man. I'm gonna go back to it just to make sure I don't say this wrong. It said something to the effect of, we've been talking about it, you know, all week. Just so I get this right, because I have to get this right, because I don't want to make it seem like here I'm coming down on the dude too bad. But it was just something in here that makes me think like, okay, this is what we've been talking about all week, but it's going to be effective immediately. Okay. If y'all figured it out and it came to the best thing, whatever we had to get to this point, that's where we are. The Jags are going to get a new GM, and Ethan Waugh is going to be the interim GM. Don't know if he's going to stay, don't know if he's going to go or whatever. But it appears that the Jaguars had a problem, and now they've identified, well, they identified some of it, and then instead of sitting here fragmenting it, trying to figure out what part of it's wrong, like they have been doing, now they've been forced to do a little bit of self-diagnosis. And that self-diagnosis, in my opinion, is what led us to where we are. I'll tell you what it means moving forward for the Jaguars, them as an organization, and how this can all give all of us hope that things are going to get better here real soon. Do that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel, man. I'm telling you, I have been all over FanDuel for a long time, and I know you guys have too. And right now, as the playoffs have gotten going, you can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. Whether your team is still in the playoffs or not, it doesn't matter. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. That's good, man. No waiting around for your winnings, whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs. FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And today's show is sponsored and brought to you also by Talkspace. It's very, very important, man. Therapy is a game changer. It helps you manage stress, improve sleep, and communicate more effectively. But finding the right therapist and fitting sessions into a busy schedule can be a challenge. That's where Talkspace comes in. It is the leading virtual therapy provider, makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. With Talkspace, signing up is simple. You can match with the licensed therapist who fits your needs, usually within 48 hours, and it's convenient. You can have sessions from the comfort of your home and even message your therapist between appointments. Plus, Talkspace is covered by many insurance plans, and for most insured members, there's a $0 copay. It's never been easier to prioritize mental health. All right, man, here you go. As a listener to this podcast, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNFL and enter the promo code SPACE80. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNFL and enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/LockedOnNFL, promo code SPACE80. Second half of a special edition here on Locked On Jaguars. The Jaguars and Trent Baalke are going in separate directions. Thank you, Trent, for doing the best job you could here in Jacksonville. No hard feelings. I wish you the absolute best, the same way I did to Doug Peterson, the same way I did the year before to some coaches that I personally knew. And it's always hard. It's always hard because you think about those folks, but this is never personal. And that's one of the things that I try to do on the show every day. And I know some people can't catch it all the time, but one theme I always have is I make sure the things that I say can be timestamped. I have been talking about having a quarterback coach combination and having a GM coach combination and having a chain of command where there's one voice for this organization. I have been talking about that for years. So that way everyone knows that this isn't personal and everyone knows this isn't about me just trying to be right from my office up here on North Main Street. That's not the thing. It is always about you, the fan. So what I've always tried to do over the years is as we grow together and as we both learn more and more about this team, I try to be super transparent about how I feel so we can all be smarter together. I know it's not a monologue, it's a bit of a dialogue every day, but I want you to feel smarter when you leave. So that's why today it seems like almost a reckoning for the fans in the city, because we have kind of been on this journey together where we suffer, we grieve, we come on here and we talk about the team, but make no mistake about it, even argue back and forth on social media. But the one thing that is common is I know you and I all want the same thing. And that's for this city and this team to be looked at and viewed as winners, because we know that's who we are. And we think Shad really is because he's won at everything. But it's just so hard to watch every single time when you know, and I can't be quiet about it, when you know something isn't right. They didn't have one voice. They did not seem like they were on one track. Listening to Doug almost say nothing sometimes on the podium means that he wanted to say something, but he probably knew it wasn't in his best interest to do it. We did not hear from Baalke much. Y'all remember this day? You remember the day Doug Marrone said him and Jalen were fine and they live in the same neighborhood? You remember I was in there and I asked him, you and Jalen are okay? Y'all ain't got no problems. He said no. Eventually, at some point, I don't know if it was that day or another day, Doug said, I wish the people that had those problems would come down here and talk to you. And that's how I feel today. I feel like there's a bit of that same division, but instead of Doug, who's like the cab driver from New York, that's just going to say whatever he wants to say, the other Doug, Peterson, held it in and just took it on the chin. But now we've gotten here. What does it mean moving forward? It means to me, I think this makes this job the attractive job that we all know it is and can be. It means that the owner, in my opinion, has been humbled a little bit. And I think it is right for somebody that really, really loves football and loves the grind and loves how this is supposed to go and loves building people and making them come together for a greater cause. And that is more than the staff. That is more than the 53 and more than all of them combined with the practice squad. It's about galvanizing that building all in to go in one direction. And when they do that, that what comes with that will permeate through the fan base, and it'll go back to these communities, and we'll all get back on the train again. And you know what? I think they can do it. I really do. I hope they can do it. But this is the beginning. They have cleaned that thing all the way down. We done took shots of liquor to ease the pain while they were digging all of that fungus out. And now maybe we can get off to a clean start. Make sure you tap into Locked On Jaguars each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, and find me in the barbershop. No, not that barbershop. The one on Locked On NFL in the PM, starting at about 2 o'clock every single day. And Tyler Rowland is on in the morning, by the way. It's the double shot of Locked On NFL. And we give you the big stories from around the league. That's all we can do. The biggest story right now is this one. You all. I usually say it's for the wrong reasons, but I don't feel like that today. I think the Jaguars, this is the start of a new day. Let's hope that day goes well. All right, man. Y'all take care. Still be very, very careful outside. I'll see y'all on social media, man. Thanks for joining me again on Locked On Jaguars.